do this.
Take a seat, my horror hounds. The leprechaun is making rounds. From grassy knolls and Irish Springs to the streets on a hunt for bling. Okay, I admit it, that was pretty bad, but in my defense, I haven't been able to stop talking in rhyme since I watched the year 2000's Leprechaun in the Hood, which not only is a completely outside the box film for this franchise, it also somehow fits right in with it. The fifth movie in the Leprechaun series, In the Hood takes a wisecracking and menacing leprechaun as he once again schemes and murders his way to retrieving his beloved pot of gold. Or, in this case, a golden flute.
I'll take it from you, homie. You'll see. 'Cause you know the Lep is the real OG.
Fans of this franchise all have our own rankings when it comes to which Leprechaun films are too cheesy, which ones aren't cheesy enough, and which ones are just right. But one thing seems to be consistent across the entire scope of this particular franchise. It's fun to watch with people. When you're stoned. And while you may find this movie to be too much and at times too little, I think the fact that it exists and that there's any audience for it really makes it worthy of being broken down here on the show. Also, Tyler and Lance thought it would be funny to make me watch this movie, so there you go.
Better not be wasting my time.
For those uninitiated in the franchise, Leprechaun began with the 1993 film, which followed Lubden the Leprechaun on a hunt for his pot of gold, which he believes had been stolen by Jennifer Aniston? The original film was written as a straight-up blood and guts horror film, but was later reworked to include more comedy and surrealism in the kills, which quickly became the standard for the subsequent catalog of movies. But we're not here to break down Lubden's adventures in North Dakota, although let me know if you'd want to watch that. Instead, we're here to follow his first trip to South Central and see what kind of trouble we can get into when his magical flute is stolen by the cop killer himself, Ice-T.
Finally got your ass. Now where's my goddamn flute?
So, roll one up, pour one up, or whatever it is that you do. I'm Kier with JoBlo Horror Originals, and you're watching Deconstructing. Leprechaun in the Hood stars the iconic Warwick Davis as the titular leprechaun. This is right up there with some of Davis's most memorable characters, and despite how you feel about this movie, his performance is always exactly what it needs to be with the material he's given.
Did somebody say blow? Hallelujah.
The story goes like this. Ice-T plays Mac Daddy Onassis, a hip-hop artist with dreams of making it big time. When he discovers an underground room full of valuable treasure, he loots the joint and ends up reawakening the leprechaun. After a hilarious, and I do mean hilarious, scuffle, complete with Mac pulling a baseball bat out of his afro, he's then able to mollify the leprechaun, turning him to stone and keeping him as a trophy?
Got your ass! Woo!
Hilarious opening scene, by the way, but cut to 20 years later and Mac hasn't aged a day.
Shoot your motherfucking homeboy in the face type shit, alright?
Okay. Mac is now a successful record executive and producer at his own label. Along come our three main characters, Post, Stray, and Butch. These guys are aspiring local rappers who want to make it big time by spreading positivity and unity in their community. You get it? Unity in your community?
Fucking
Fuck.
That shit is whack, alright?
So these guys get rejected and they decide that they're gonna rob Mac's office for revenge. This results in them accidentally nearly killing Mac and reawakening the leprechaun once again.
Unhand me gold, you thieving hoods. You got more loot than Tiger Woods.
From here, it's pretty much the typical setup. Lubden will not rest until he tracks down his flute and gets revenge on those who took it from him, in some of the cheesiest but most fun ways imaginable. Now, technically, this isn't much different from the plot of, like, any of the Leprechaun films, so why is this installment among one of the most memorable? In order to find out, we're going to be breaking down this movie into our 4 key categories. First, we're going to cover the origins of the movie and how it got made. Seeing as there were 4 other Leprechaun movies before this one, I'm mostly just going to give you the highlights and stick to the origins of this movie. But after that, we'll get into the film's legacy, and trust me, it's more interesting than you would think for a sequel. After that, we'll have some fun with a game of JoBlo horror movie trivia, and then we'll go for the gold and talk about the movie's X Factor, where I find the one small thing that makes this movie such a cult hit after nearly 25 years.
Kind of like Robin Hood. Instead, we're gonna be robbing in the hood.
So, if you're ready, then keep your backs to the wall and don't forget to drop a like on the video. And let's hit play on Leprechaun in the Hood. Let's go back to the early 90s for a minute. A writer named Mark Jones was working as a writer on a show called Superboy. You know, that was the short-lived Superman nepotism series starring Alexander Salkind. Moving on. Jones aspired to be a filmmaker and wanted to write and direct his feature. He had been developing an idea since the 80s after being inspired by a box of Lucky Charms. His idea was an evil, murderous leprechaun who would do anything to get his hands on a pot of gold.
The wee people have their magical ways.
After writing his horror thriller Leprechaun script, Jones was able to get it picked up by Trimark and secure a budget of about $1 million. In fact, this became Trimark's first film to be released in movie theaters. Jones would be satisfied with the film he made, but he didn't want to return for any of the sequels.
I'm starved. Haven't eaten in 10 years. What?
He made his movie and then went back to working in TV. Only to bring back the creative juices a few years later with Rumpelstiltskin. If you guys want to see me deconstruct that, I'm sure Tyler and Lance would find it hilarious. As for Leprechaun in the Hood, this movie was released as part of that rapid release schedule with a new Leprechaun adventure hitting the direct-to-video shelf every year or two. The sequels were all low budget and occasionally low effort, but the character and his iconic status carried this franchise well into cult status. So, the movies just kept getting made. Leprechaun in the Hood was given a budget of $1.4 million and made use of mostly no-name actors. The money was well spent on practical effects that, big shock, hold up better than the movie's very dated digital effects. However, I will say that director Rob Spera and writers Doug Hall and John Huffman found a way to capture Warwick's best acting sensibilities and just play to his strengths. How did they do that? They basically just let Warwick Davis be the Leprechaun. And that was enough. In fact, if anything is proof that this movie had something going, it's that it got a direct follow-up sequel called Leprechaun Back to the Hood in 2003. Okay, actually, maybe this is the movie that doomed the entire franchise.
Was it all worth it in the end?
But in his wake, Jones left a franchise that would go on and just keep going. Which reminds me, let's take a look at this movie's legacy. After the release of Leprechaun in the Hood, TriStar decided that they couldn't afford to keep pumping money into a property whose glory days were well behind it. They sold the rights to Lionsgate, who immediately began working on the next installment, only to sort of bastardize the history of the original movies and lead to the next films being an attempt to reboot the franchise.
I taught him everything he knows. Oh, yeah.
There have been some rumblings throughout Hollywood that there's a Leprechaun reboot coming our way soon, and even some directors and writers that are attached to the project. If you believe everything you read online, that is. Just kidding. You know what? Actually, it'll probably happen. But as it stands, this movie right here is one of the most iconic ones. And why? Because it's absurd. Between the ghetto puns, the awful rhymes from Post and his friends, the insane continuity errors, and the weird scene of the Chinese restaurant owner trying to audition as a backup dancer,
Chow do the funky peasant. Chow get down hard with his bad self.
this is just one hell of a memorable movie. I mean, at one point, Post and Butch dress in drag to pretend to be hookers in order to confront Lubden at a nightclub. I cannot stress this enough. This movie just swims in bizarre.
Sit down, my healthy filly. You're about to meet a club named Billy.
The kills in this movie are actually kind of good though. There's a few that are done off screen in order to preserve the movie's budget, but the stuff that they do show is hilariously bombastic. We get like 3 chest hole kills in this movie and they're all done differently. It is complete lunacy, people. We often think of this movie as Leprechaun meets How High meets Scarface, but with half of the charm of each. But in its attempt to do something different, the movie succeeds in bringing us new kinds of characters into the path of this maniacal monster. We recall seeing Lubden smoke weed with Ice-T and say,
A friend with weed is a friend indeed.
which is a staple meme for horror lovers of the early 2000s. And we have some truly off-the-wall protagonists, with Butch being maybe my favorite dumb friend with a good heart who sacrifices himself for the less interesting lead type trope. The faces he makes, the way he pulls off the plan in the end, the loyalty, he is extremely memorable. R.I.P. Butch.
Man, this ain't just weed, Post. This weed got clovers in it.
Of course, we can't forget Jackie D, the pawn shop owner, who gets taken out by the leprechaun by way of hallucination and horniness.
Love me, Jackie. Love me, Jackie.
This movie is so fucking ridiculous. Something I wanted to mention during the origin, but it was just too perfect, so I had to save it for trivia. Did you know that Warwick Davis had such bad stomach gas that there were occasional shooting delays on set because he couldn't stop farting?
Curious aroma.
Lance, Tyler, I hope you guys are getting a kick out of this. And before we move on, let's see if you can answer this question. If Leprechaun 3 and Leprechaun in Space director Brian Trenchard Smith would have returned to direct this movie, where would the Leprechaun's adventure have been set? Is it A, an amusement park, B, Ireland in a dystopian future, C, a mental asylum, or D, the White House? Comment your answers down below.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light?
Now friends, if you paid attention to this video, you know exactly what the X factor of this movie is. In fact, I may have already stated it or mentioned it. The purpose of this segment is to find the thing that makes the movie we're watching stand out as some kind of classic or cult classic or just a memorable piece of horror cinema. And for me, that's obviously Warwick Davis. But also, when you're stoned. I think it can all be summed up by a text that my friend sent me right after seeing the movie. It reads, I mean, it can't be an accident. They knew that Ice-T pulling a baseball bat out of his hair would be funny, and I laughed. So I guess they achieved what they were looking to do. P.S. Edibles. Seriously. Hello, and welcome to Friday Night Flicks. Hopefully, you guys can see me and hear me okay. I'm Kier, your host, as usual. And again, as usual, it's been a long week, and I am excited to be here hanging out with you guys to kind of cap it all off. So, how is everybody doing? Looks like there's some of you already in here. Hello to everybody. And we've already got some comments in the chat, so thank you for those. Let's put on some music in the background as we do. You guys will let me know, I trust, if the music's too loud. But that should be fine. All right. Hopefully that's not too loud. So what's up, guys? How was everybody's week? It feels kind of crazy that it's only been a week since we've done this because I had a very long week. And if I look like shit, it's because I'm tired. I was traveling this week. I got home very late last night and had to dive straight back into it today. So be merciful, everybody. I'm counting on you. I saw a comment that I pinned during the pre-show that I wanted to address right away. I'm only wearing one gold chain tonight, but if you guys are good, I'll put on the gag gold chain. I'll put on the Loved in the Leprechaun chain. If you guys want to see that, just comment below. Usually I only throw it on when Bumbray is in the chat. Oh, and he's here. Oh, and he already mentioned it. Look at this. Do you guys see what I mean? For those of you that tune in every single week, you know all about this and what this is about. But for those of you tuning in for the first time, just come back week after week, and eventually it'll click what's going on here. Well, Chris, thank you for being here. Hello to everybody. Happy Friday. What movies are you guys going to watch this weekend? All that fun stuff. We've got a good show tonight. Kind of a different one. Instead of having kind of a big topic, a big main topic that we're going to talk about, instead today, I think what we're going to do is just go through some of the movie news and things that I missed this past week when I was out of town. I was on the internet very little, and I came back to tons of JoBlo articles that I had not read yet. So I thought it'd be fun to do that with you guys live. And of course, as we do pretty much every week, we're also going to be doing a giveaway. So for those of you still upset about the last one, I do want to address that. There is a wide-angle shot from last week's topic. The giveaway question. The question was, which poster was on the wall of the clubhouse in Monster Squad? And then the winner actually sent us a screenshot from the movie of a wide-angle shot that's in there with tons of posters, and a lot of you guys had correct answers on there. So I apologize for that, but we will be making it up to you tonight with another giveaway, and it's going to be a fun one and one that you're probably going to want to win. So make sure you stick around, okay? King Sport Cow says, put that bling on, it's required. Yeah, it'll probably come on a little later in the night. You guys know, a rant or two when I really feel like I've earned it. Maybe after one of my tangents, we'll get there. But yeah, so it's going to be a pretty chill kind of live stream tonight. And by chill, I mean really it's going to be loose. We're just going to be looking at some articles that I read, talking about some trailers that I saw, some stuff that I've been seeing. So all movie stuff, all good stuff. There may be, a topic or two that you guys didn't know about. So for those of you that are like me and spent the last week not on the internet, there could definitely be a bunch of educational shit for you to chew on in here. Whoa, we got a ton of comments. Thank you guys so much. Thanks, King Sport Cal. I'm not even going to pin that one. We got one from Cora Gray. Hello, Cora Gray. Hopefully I'm saying that name right, but you guys know me. One or two names are going to get said incorrectly tonight. That's the way it goes. Hello, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Also, by the way, I did watch Joker 2 with my phone, and the film wasn't bad. Yes, it's a flawed movie, but I like it for what it is. That's a good opinion. We're going to keep that in mind, okay? Because that is one of the topics tonight. As you guys can tell by the thumbnail, we might be discussing some of that. You know what I'm saying? All right, keep the comments coming, guys. Let's kind of just break into it, I guess. Let's start with Joker 2. This is kind of interesting to me because usually this is the kind of movie I would be seeing in theaters on opening night. Not specifically because I liked the first one, because I was kind of up in the air about the first one. It's because it's a DC movie, because it's a comic book movie. It just is the kind of thing that ordinarily I would be there on opening night. And then I saw the trailer and I got kind of excited. I heard Joker 2 was going to be a musical, and it seemed like it was maybe going to be a little more outside the box, a little less ground level than the first movie. and I was interested in that. And then the movie came out. And as much as I tried to avoid it, and I did, I want you guys to know, I did try to avoid what I could as far as going into this movie cold on what people thought of it, but it was unavoidable. When this movie came out, the reviews were quick and they were brutal. And if your algorithm looks anything like mine on YouTube, you were being fed those videos all day. So I did learn an awful lot about the film, which kind of kept me from wanting to go see it opening weekend. So I didn't. And then I was traveling and I still haven't seen it. Now, I will say, I think after what I've been reading, this is probably one I'm going to skip because many of my trusted movie critic comrades have told me that even based on my very open-minded taste, I probably would not like this movie. So I'm going to wait probably. I saw that it's already getting a digital release sometime soon, which is kind of funny to me because it just came out. And it's tanking. Nobody's liking this movie. So let's kind of break down what we know, okay? This was a movie that I kind of expected, regardless of how the initial reviews were, I kind of expected this movie to just blow up the box office just because of how well the first one did. This is, I mean, after all, a sequel to, at the time, the highest grossing, like, R-rated movie of all time, or, you know, R-rated comic book movie, whatever. And it was interesting because with the success of a movie like that, instead of duplicating it, Todd Phillips decided to do something completely different. So this movie kind of from the beginning was fun to follow, specifically because nobody could really pin it for, is it going to be good? Is it going to be too wacky? Is it going to be too musical? Is Lady Gaga going to be, you know, with it or not? It was an interesting film to follow. It's crazy that it's already out. Like, thinking about it now, it's crazy that it's already out, but alas, it seems to have succeeded in neither the musical field or the narrative field. And those are two kind of important things when your film is a musical. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But I want to get to your guys' comments a little bit. Fallon here has, I'm going to call this a hot take because to me it is. Fallon says, Grease aside, he cannot stand musicals. And to that, Johnny, you know I love you. You have to have seen Little Shop of Horrors. You have to have seen the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And if you have seen those movies, then guess what, my friend? You liked them because they're amazing. And King Sport Cal, he's agreeing with you, John. This is where the heads collide here because I think musicals are sick. And I especially think for something like this, that could be fun because a superhero or a comic book musical, that's fresh, that's new. Could have been good. And I can't really say whether or not it was, you know, in my own opinion, but it seems like the general consensus is that it was not good this time. So I guess y'all have a point. So yeah, this will probably end up on Max sometime soon. And nope. Well, John, you got to see those movies, buddy. You got to check them out. King Sport House says Sweeney Todd is better than those two. I actually do like Sweeney Todd. I like musicals in general. There's very many musicals that I like, and I like Sweeney Todd. I actually, when we did the Tim Burton ranking video, I struggled with where to place that one between whether or not I, you know, liked it or loved it, and it's because it's good. I like musicals. I also thought this was funny. This article alone, just this headline and thumbnail, for me, good job, boys, on that. Francis Ford Coppola lends his support to Joker Folie à Deux. I'm trying to say that correctly. Now, listen, this is funny to me. I'm going to tell you why when I initially saw this, this article, it made me laugh. And that's because Francis Ford Coppola is right now also on the heels of his own train wreck of a movie, which is Megalopolis, which, by the way, if you guys haven't heard the news on that, is getting a theatrical release with, you know, theater interaction. So that one scene will have some sort of 16-year-old movie AMC employee just kind of standing up there talking to the screen. So that'll be fun. And if you guys have been lucky enough to see the film that way, please comment and let me know how it was. Oh, this is a good point from Film Positive. I actually I like this take because I agree. Joker was not a comic book movie. Joker 2 further confirms that. I thought it was a great sequel. So I just want to go based off of, you know, general consensus. I can't say whether or not I liked it. I assumed I would enjoy it more than the last one, but I wasn't the biggest fan of the first one because I wanted a comic book film, I guess. I guess I wanted Joker to feel like a criminal mastermind Joker, and I kind of hoped this movie would lean into that, and I've heard that it did the opposite. So you know, in my opinion, this is going to be one where maybe late night streaming, it's going to have maybe a second wave of people that appreciate it because they didn't feel like checking it out at the movies. They're curious enough when it hits Max, and then maybe it'll get an uptick. And maybe it'll find some sort of audience that way. You really never know. I'm going to turn the music down a little bit. Hopefully it's not too loud. I haven't seen any comments saying it's too loud, but it was distracting me a little bit. So Alistair Campbell says, but Megalopolis is a better film. Yeah, I again don't know. Haven't seen Megalopolis. Can't wait. Tyler and I talked about this a few weeks ago on our stream. It looks insane, you know, so I have to know how bad it is. Tyler kind of said the same thing. So yeah, so this, I don't know. Back to Joker 2. What's going on? I think it's a mixture of things. And I also want to say, I know that this film will have its fans. And I'm not taking anything away from the people that like it. I don't know. But looking at, you know, general reactions, looking at what's going on, looking at the numbers, I guess, at the box office, which if you guys want some numbers here, we've got them right here. Domestically, it's done 43 million, international 77 milskis, and worldwide it's done 120 million. You have to remember Joker made $1 billion buckaroos in its box office run. This movie obviously will not do the $1 billion. It's not going to happen. But I also think that, you know, considering the movie's budget, whether or not it's a hit is not whether or not it makes $1 million bucks. It's whether or not they're able to make their money, you know? But with that being said, too, one thing that's, you know, it seems like these days everything has to be either the best movie ever made or the worst movie ever made. And I think that there's times when we get a little extreme in those opinions. When really, you know, it could just be that Joker 2 is an unfulfilling or a little bit boring movie and it's not terrible and people are shitting on it extra hard because of whatever reason, you know, and that tends to sometimes be the case around here. So not around here as in JoBlo, just around here as in like the internet, you know, the online movie review space. It's hard to like review a movie when you're kind of in the middle on it. You kind of have to take your side of, do I review it as a movie I enjoyed or didn't enjoy? Because if you review it straight down the middle and it's a movie like, you know, that's kind of boring or uneventful, you end up just wasting your time making a video that's not entertaining, you know, recapping a boring movie, which is equally as boring. So hopefully you feel me on that. Powder Keg makes a good point too. Mid, the word mid, which is a popular term now for just about everything, is often confused with bad, or is usually confused with bad. I agree. When I hear something's mid, to me that doesn't mean anything other than like I'm lukewarm on it. I'm in the middle, you know. But it does seem like if people say something's mid, it seems like other people take that as saying it's bad, which is different. What do I know, dude? I'm just a guy standing in front of a guy or a bunch of guys asking you guys to like and subscribe. That's who I am. Yeah, history lover. It seems like the worst opinion about anything is that was okay. I think like it's funny because to me, there's plenty of movies that came out this year, the year before. There's been some pretty shit movies and some pretty good movies. And almost every single movie that I was somewhere in the middle on, it seemed like it was like the most polarizing movie that month, you know? It was either the best or the worst. Alien Romulus had some haters saying it was the worst thing to happen, and I thought it was so good, but I also didn't think it was the best thing that happened for the Alien franchise, you know? So there's just, I don't know, it seems like the middle is an uncomfortable place to be for an opinion-based review. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes that just be the case, my dudes. John, actually, I relate to what you're saying, or not I relate, but I know what you're talking about because I'm currently in the process of editing you and Lance's video on this. But yeah, Joker 2 is getting it soft compared to The Crow, which nobody saw. That is interesting. If you don't see the movie, you can't really say that it's a shit movie. You can say that you're choosing not to see it. You can say that you heard it was shit, like what I'm saying. But yeah, it is weird to kind of shit on a movie that you haven't seen, because what if you like it? What if like you're the one guy that likes it? Or what if, you know, you're part of the small demographic that likes it? You'll feel pretty silly saying you didn't like it. All right, I guess while we're on the topic of upcoming movies, let's talk about, we have a Smile 2 coming out, which this is an interesting one. I don't want to spoil anything about the last one, but I think by now, truthfully, everybody that's gonna see this movie has probably seen it. At least anybody who's interested. This is a surprising one for me because the first movie with Sosie Bacon, I kind of expected to be one of those imaginary kind of tarot bullshit movies, and I quite enjoyed Smile. I thought it was really good, actually, and I had a lot of fun with it, and the concept of it was really good. So it makes sense that when it came out and it was well received, the first thing that happens is it gets picked up for a sequel and potentially spin-offs. We'll talk a little bit about that. And I like that. I think that's cool because this is kind of one of those movies that had a concept that isn't tied to specific characters. It's kind of tied to, you know, some supernatural stuff that could apply to anybody. So every sequel could, in theory, just be a brand new cast and you can just keep it going. And I like that. I like when, especially with horror franchises where a lot of sequels are usually the case, I like when it's an idea that goes bigger than a certain cast of characters. Although I do like when it goes the other way as well, like things like Scream, where the cast is kind of the main thing and then just the killer changes. I like the idea of you could do 5 Smile movies and they're all completely different from each other while still fitting into a franchise. That's fun. And also a lot less pressure than making them all, you know, serialized, where you have to follow the same characters throughout 5 or 6 movies, you know? Personally, a lot of people just saying mid now. That's so funny. People are just commenting mid. I like it. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm excited. The trailer for this movie hasn't really sold me yet. Like, I think it looks cool, but I don't think it looks entirely necessary. If that makes sense. It's in fact, Major Blazer literally just commented, sequel seems unnecessary. Yeah. But here's why I'm intrigued. The idea of, like, I mean, the first one felt a little, this is going to sound like, I don't know, everything nowadays, but the first one felt very grounded, very demure. This one feels like, because it's a celebrity in the mix, we're going to be entering just a whole new level of possibilities for what could happen. And then that's fun for me because I would like to see, you know, if given a bigger platform for the person carrying this curse, what could happen? And I think we're going to see that. And if nothing else, that part will be fun, I think. Now, the trailer doesn't look great. I also think that there's a spoiler kind of in the trailer in regards to Kyle Gallner's character, which is kind of crazy to me because you would think if these movies are going to be connected, you would want him to be kind of the anchor, kind of the Nick Fury of the whole thing, where he could be maybe in every movie to, you know, keep it in the same in universe type thing. I don't know. So it's interesting because the first movie really sold me. This trailer for the second movie, it looks okay, but it doesn't have me super excited. Yet I do believe it is going to be good. It has so much potential. And it seemed like the last one was marketed so well and it was so sharply crafted that if this one has a slice of that DNA, it's going to be just fine. It's going to be a pretty good movie. Yeah, Conway, this is exactly what I was talking about. And this is in the trailer, so it's not really a spoiler, but yeah, they kind of show a character die in the trailer that you would think they would not put in the trailer because of who the character is. And I guess you could put 2 and 2 together of who I'm talking about. Yeah, and Brian Stevens actually has a good point too. Terrifier 2 was better than the original. Maybe the same will happen with Smile. There's a lot of, in the horror movie world, I think there's a good chunk of movies that have sequels that are better, you know? Like Friday the 13th, the sequel is better than the original one, or the first one for sure. Yeah, same thing with Terrifier. I definitely like the second one more, although the first one, it does have a special place in my heart around this time of year because it's so dirty and grimy, and it really does something for me. The second one, though, I think is a better film altogether. It's got way more, it's got a story, which the first one didn't have. You know, we're talking Terrifier now, for those of you that missed that. Oh, sick. All right, yeah, Johnny, you got to check out Smile before Smile 2 comes out for sure. And then when you do check it out, let me know what you thought, man. I'd love to know. Spoilers in their trailer helps with promotion. Major Blazer, you have a question mark there, as if it's a as if it's a question. But yeah, I mean, definitely, because it makes people go, I have to know. Is that really what happens? You know, it's kind of like did you guys hear about this? Is an interesting thing. Did you guys hear that like a year after Spider-Man No Way Home came out, you guys remember, I'm sure, when that trailer dropped, there was people kind of like zoom and enhance on the trailer to see that they digitally removed characters from certain shots. And there was that one clip where the lizard gets kicked in the air by an invisible force, and that was kind of people going, I bet that's Andrew Garfield. And then sometime after the movie came out, it was kind of discovered that they knew that mistake was in there, and they knew that because of it, it would lead to speculation and free promotion for the movie. So even when we think we're smart and we catch something, we're not fucking smart. Let's actually think about that. We caught a mistake in the Spider-Man trailer that maybe gave away a cameo. And then we found out that the mistake that was made was intentional to confirm the cameo without confirming it, so you'd have to buy a ticket to see the movie to confirm it for yourself. We have no control over any of this shit, you guys. I'm feeling existential thinking about that. Yeah, the lizard got ghost kicked by Andrew Garfield, son. Wow, Stephen O'Donnell. Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear this. It looks like you're asking me to pin this comment, so I'm going to. I'm so sorry to hear about your mom and that it's been rough for you. And let's shout out Gene O'Donnell. Shout out to Steven's mom. Rest in peace. I'm so sorry to hear that, brother. But thank you for being here every week. Hopefully we can maybe take your mind off of things a little bit. But big shout out, Gene O'Donnell. Rest in peace. I don't know how to transition back into movies from that, but I do feel that that's important, especially, Stefan, you're here every week, and we appreciate you, man. Major Blazer says he doesn't think that they're that smart. That would be back pertaining to the cameo concealer in Spider-Man. I think not only was somebody that smart to come up with it, I think they pitched it as, we're going to get viral amounts of promotion. We're talking videos with 1 million views speculating on this. Let's just feed them a little nugget of it, and out of that seed is going to sprout online discourse and conversation. I really think, it's no different than any other marketing idea. It's just on such a big scale. You know what I mean? Yeah, Steven, no worries, bud. No worries, man. Hang in there. So let's go back to let's cover some other stuff. Actually, you know what? I have another topic that I want to talk about with you guys, because we're in the Halloween season, I think most of the movie news that I'm interested in, especially right now, is in regards to horror properties or new horror movies, or whatever the case is. And I do realize now the coincidence that we started by talking about Joker and Smile, which are two smiling related crazy creatures. But I also want to talk about another one, Art the Clown, Terrifier 3, Terrifier Triple, as I'm calling it. You guys, this is one of those ones where you either like the Terrifier movies or you don't. And the people that don't like it, I think it's just it's just as understandable as people that love it. Okay, so no matter what you think of these movies, it's all valid. They're very divisive films. Okay, they're low budget, they're grainy, they're hyper violent, extremely gory movies, and I love them. Okay, I like the Terrifier films. I love Art the Clown as a character, probably as much as the movies themselves. I just really believe in that character as a creepy clown. But I think that and keep in mind, have not seen it yet, so I'm not going to spoil anything. I couldn't spoil anything if I wanted to. But for those of you that have seen it, Conway, I'm glad you loved it. Don't fucking spoil anything for me, brother. I'm counting on you, man. Yeah, see, Alistair Campbell, says that they're not for him. Totally understandable. For many people, this kind of thing is just not what they're looking for in a movie, and I get that. There's certain things that I'm not looking for in a movie that other people really are down with, you know? Like, for example, this is probably gonna, I don't know, it's probably gonna upset maybe some of you, but a certain type of movie, like for example, if it's the hyper gore of Terrifier, that's not for you. I don't like movies that involve regular US military having to battle like other militaries without any superpowers or anything. Like war movies, especially war movies that are like set in the now, those movies aren't for me. And I've kind of used that as my base of comparison, or my I don't know, my olive branch to people that are like, oh, I hate slashers or hyper gore. I'm like, I get it. I get kind of bored when I watch like modern war movies. And usually people hate me when I say that because there's so many good ones out there. And I agree, there's good ones, just like any other, you know, thing that you don't like. There's always exceptions. But I get it. It's not for everybody. That's all of that to say that. Art the Clown is the newest horror icon. Yeah, I mean, the dude is kind of, it's crazy. The character of Art the Clown is recognizable to people now, even people that know nothing about the movies or where they came from, which is cool. I think that's a cool thing. You know, there's, I think, kind of a gatekeepy thing about Art the Clown where people that really loved, you know, or followed kind of from the short film, the anthology, to the film, to the sequel, I think those people feel protective over that character because it's a super popular character now, and a lot of people have no idea where the roots of that came from. And this is one of those instances where I kind of get it. I kind of like, I don't quite disagree with that. I kind of get being gatekeepy about characters that you've loved since the beginning, but Art the Clown is blown up bigger than any of us are ready for, and it doesn't belong to any one person now. Art the Clown is kind of a, you know, become a symbol, which is crazy. But it looks like this movie, I mean, I saw the trailer the day it came out, and I truly thought that it looked mean. It looked like a mean ass movie, and sometimes that turns me off a little bit. But in the Terrifier kind of universe, I think we're kind of ready for that, because the first one was also very, very mean. The second one, you know, they're all mean, but this one, this third one looks pretty gnarly. And I think that the franchise needs to take a step forward by taking a step kind of sideways. And Damien Leone mentioned in a couple of interviews, or he's kind of talked about this a lot, that he's kind of hearkening back to that first movie a little bit in terms of the grittiness of it and the scale of it. The second film was like an epic, you know. It was long. There was so much lore. The visuals, I mean, it was crazy. And I think he's bringing it a little bit further back now. And I think that's probably a good thing, because trying to level up from the second one on things like the violence and the blood, that's one thing. But trying to level up from that in terms of scope, I don't know. I think you got to wait till you got a little bit more of a budget for that. So I think there's a lot of promise from what I could tell from the trailer for Terrifier. And it seems like the people that have seen it are enjoying it. For the most part, it looks like, I mean, let's be honest. Let's get some key words out of the way. Let's go back to the screen share. Some key words that we're hearing right now on the film are disgusting, scary, depraved, and traumatizing. If you're describing a person, or if you're describing a movie that's not meant to be scary, those are bad things, obviously. However, when you're describing a movie that aims to be these things, I think it seems like people agree that Terrifier is doing what it set out to do. And that is to be scary and be disgusting and be depraved and be traumatizing. So I'm excited to see it. I can't wait to see it, as a matter of fact. Truthfully, I don't know. Might end this. It looks like Damien Leone talked about ending the series with Terrifier 4. I don't know. I heard something about this, but I don't want to go too much into it because I don't know what happened. But I did want to talk about this. Let's look at the article a little bit. Writer-director Damien Leone had a budget of around $55,000 to work with on his breakout horror film, Terrifier. At a budget of a little over $250,000 for Terrifier 2, which was a massive hit when it released in 2022, earning $15.1 million. That is a huge profit on that movie. And honestly, it's pretty exciting to see that. It's really cool, actually, to see that. Since the second film did so well, Terrifier 3 has a substantially higher budget. A couple million is going into this one, and we're going to get the chance to see how that translates to the screen when the film receives a theatrical release on October 11th, which, by the way, is tonight. But before we reach that date, Leone has already confirmed that he intends to make a Terrifier 4. This one might be the last, though, because Leone doesn't want his franchise to wear out its welcome. Is this refreshing for you that do fuck with Terrifier? For those of you that like Terrifier, is this refreshing to hear that the creator of Terrifier, who is having incredible success with his creation, wants to go out while he's on top? And do you think it's possible? Is it going to be the kind of thing where, regardless of Terrifier 4's reception when it comes out, regardless of how it goes box office and critically, is Damien Leone going to have a choice? Or are the studios going to be so enticing with how many zeros they can add to that check that we're going to end up getting a fifth one? Who knows? I think it's kind of cool. This kind of reminds me of, like, on a way smaller scale, so I don't think I'm comparing, but this kind of reminds me of, like, when Tarantino said, I'm going to make 10 movies and then I'm out, and then I'm done. Now, admittedly, since then, that's kind of been amended to, like, well, I'll still do TV shows and I'll still write, but I won't direct, or whatever. But I think that's a pretty punk rock thing to do. When all of your movies do well, it's cool to say, I'm going to quit now, rather than wait until you get to the point where you need to quit and then accepting your defeat. It's cool to just go out on your own terms. But I also think Terrifier 2 made Art the Clown a fucking monumental icon. I was at Spirit Halloween with my wife a couple weeks ago, like when it opened, and almost every single thing I saw had something to do with Terrifier. It was just Art the Clown this, Art the Clown that. They had like a giant animatronic you could put in your front yard or your living room or whatever, which I kind of would like to own one day. But the whole point is, that kind of can get away from you as the creator of it. Once something gets big enough, you kind of roll the dice putting it out there, and it's very possible that the demand for Art the Clown could be high enough to where this franchise never ends. It could be like a Ghostface situation, and that's also cool. It's like refreshing to hear that it could be over after 4 movies, but it's also kind of exciting to think about if these 4 movies are really all hits, like they're shaping up to be. It would be really cool to see this turn into like a Scream, where you have 6 movies or 7 movies, or who knows how many Scream will go to, but all the ones that have come out so far are good and I like them. So it would be great to have another franchise where I can count on every movie in a long series of movies to be good. That'd be fun. Exactly. Alistair Campbell. Yeah, this is my exact point. Exactly. Todd Phillips said that there would not be a Joker 2, and here we are, and not that long after the first one. I mean, they took their time, 5 years, but it didn't take very long for the movie to get announced. You know what I mean? And that was after there was a definitive, this is a standalone movie, we're not going to go there. You know what I'm saying? Yep. Yeah. John agrees too. Whoever pays the bills is in control. Yeah, we're gonna see. It'll be interesting because Art the Clown. This is why, and this is kind of to bring you guys in on where my head's at with this. It's because I think of things like right now the Jason situation, where one person owns the rights to the character, the other person owns the rights to the machete and the hockey mask, or whatever the case is. When it's split like that, when the IP to a popular character is big enough, it always ends up where people get their hands on contracts that give them a piece of that character that belongs to them. I don't know the case with Damien Leone, but I sure hope that he owns Art the Clown if he intends to just stop making these movies. Because if he doesn't, there's nothing he can do about it. Those movies are getting made. You have a character that's generating money, not just from the movies, which, I mean, let's be real, $15 million with a budget of $250,000, you're making money, But that's not even including the big stuff, which comes from merchandise. If Spirit Halloween is any indicator, these movies will never be done. You know what I mean? Because there's so much money to be made. And so, you know, I simultaneously find it refreshing that there could only be 4, just a limited number, and hopefully they're all good. But I also find it seemingly impossible to control that, you know, as the creator of something so large. So we's gonna see. We is gonna see. Speaking of merchandise, if you guys want, I'm gonna do the merch plug now because we have a giveaway later I'd like to get to. But shop our merchandise, guys. We're gonna be in the process soon of coming up with some new designs, but the ones that we have right now, I got to get my hands on some more of them. We have designs that are super cool that I really would encourage you guys to check out. If you love movies, I say this every week, these are kind of a if you know situation where they're movie quotes, but they're kind of inside, you know, they're really just for people that have seen the movie. So if you're into that kind of stuff and you love movies, but you don't want to wear a shirt that just says the name of the movie you love, go check out our store. I'll bring up the QR code a little later, but we have a giveaway to get to by the end of the show, and I don't want to forget to plug the merch. Let's take a look at what else is in the news. I think my Art the Clown spiel, I pretty much captured my feelings on what's going on. I'm excited to see the 3rd movie, though. So, Conway, don't spoil shit, man. I'll talk to you about it after I've seen it, probably this weekend. Okay. What else is in the movies right now? Oh, actually, speaking of that, this I just thought was cool. This is a personal thing I just wanted to share with you guys, but I saw this and it gave me a feeling, and I thought it would be a kind of a cool thing to share with all of you guys as my friends. So Christopher Nolan's Interstellar celebrates its 10th anniversary with a limited engagement in IMAX cinemas and 4K collector's edition. So, as usual, guys, I'm going to say something that some of you are going to hate me for. There's just no way to avoid that every week. I'm not like the hugest Christopher Nolan fan. I don't take anything away from the fact that he's potentially one of the greatest directors ever. In fact, he might be like the best director of modern cinema. And I'm not debating that. All I'm saying is not all of his movies affect me or move me. And that's okay. I don't take anything away from them. I still watch them and I still enjoy and respect them. I still respect them. I don't always connect with them. I'm just going to put it that way. King Sport Cow, what is wrong with me being friends with y'all? There's nothing wrong with that. I thought we were friends. We squashed this weeks ago, bud. Come on. So anyway, not the hugest proponent of Christopher Nolan. I don't, I'm not one of the big Nolan boys, but he's made some movies that I really do care for. The Prestige is my favorite Christopher Nolan movie. Well, that being said, a blind spot that I always had was Interstellar. I had not seen Interstellar up until last year. I just kind of avoided it. It wasn't for me, or I thought it wasn't for me. Now I'm going to tell you, my wife said, we're going to watch this movie because I think you're going to like it. Don't be stubborn. Don't fight me on this. Just watch it. So we puts on the movie. And once we puts it on, my opinion kind of shifted immediately, because what I didn't know about Interstellar was that the movie is not like what the trailer makes the movie look like, if that makes sense. The trailer to me it just didn't seem like something I needed to see. It wasn't my bag. But sitting down and watching it, I was not watching the movie that I expected to see, like that I had pictured it being. And that not only caught me by surprise, it immediately made me think I was so wrong about this movie. I'm going to pay extra attention and just see if I enjoy it. And lo and behold, Interstellar became, to me, one of the best Christopher Nolan movies ever made. And there's certain movies he's made that I do love. I love The Dark Knight. I love The Prestige. But I don't love Memento. I don't like Inception. Those movies don't do anything for me. But this one I thought would be in that category, and it turned out to be, to me, maybe like his best movie on a technical level. The twist of it all. John here says it was the last film that made him cry like a man bitch. You know, that's funny. Man bitch is how my brother describes P. Diddy. But yeah, Interstellar also, yeah, well, dude, it's not only sad, that's a movie that'll make you cry because it just presents the sadness in the most cinematic and buttery way. You know what I mean? Like a real sad moment is kind of the twist of the book that kept flying off the shelf, and that made me tear up. Just in how beautiful the kind of full circle of it was. Oh my god. Anyway, gushing about this movie is easy for me because since I saw it, I realized how wrong I was about it. And so seeing that it's got a 10-year anniversary coming up, and I did not get to catch this in theaters when it came out, I'm gonna try to go see this as soon as I can, whatever movie theater is playing it closest to me. I'm probably gonna have to go check it out. And for those of you that are also gonna check it out, let me know, and we'll talk about how good it was on the live after that. That'll be fun. King Sport Cal loves Memento. I see, yeah, and so does Major Blazer. I actually do not like Memento. The movie kind of, it's one of those movies where after I saw it, I had like a hole in the pit of my stomach that just took me all day to get rid of, and I just didn't feel good about it, you know? Well, I guess I just answered your question, Major Blazer. I didn't like the way the movie made me feel. My reaction to the movie was no good. And I saw it as a kid, too. Like, that's the other thing. Like, I'm pretty young, but, like, I think I saw that movie when I was, like, 11. And it was already on DVD at the time I saw it. So, and then watching it again as an adult, I got that exact same feeling. Just a sense of dread. I think it's the idea that amnesia really fucking scares me. Like the idea of forgetting who you are and what's going on in your own life. Like if nothing else, like, you know, that's like, if you don't have that, you have nothing, you know? So I think it's just the feeling it gives me. It's like an anxiety that it's a brand of anxiety that I don't particularly enjoy. Hopefully that answers your question. My thoughts on The Dark Knight. In my opinion, The Dark Knight is potentially the best Batman movie in live action. I think The Batman is my favorite, but I think The Dark Knight is probably the best live action Batman movie. And not because of Batman, but obviously because of Heath Ledger as the Joker. I just love that movie. And I think it's an iconic movie that deserves the status that it has. I think it's not overrated. I think it's just a beloved movie, you know, and people rate it as such. All right, let's get back to the camera. Yeah, so anyway, Interstellar coming back to theaters. I'm really hyped on that. Seeing it, and also like seeing things in IMAX. We have like a true IMAX here, and seeing things in IMAX, it makes a difference to me what the movie is, because some movies I see in IMAX and I'm like, yeah, but I could have seen it on digital, or I could have, you know, and it maybe wouldn't have affected like my overall experience that much. And these could be movies that I also love, you know, but some movies, if you can see them in IMAX, it's like, just do it. Just try to do it and get that extra level to your experience. Because if you love a movie and it's designed to be shown on IMAX, it really, I mean, for me, it's a religious experience, but it really is special, you know, even if it's not that serious for you. He says, King Sport Kyle says, don't become an alcoholic if you don't, or if you like remembering things. I don't drink, so we're off to a good start. Yeah, Cora Gray didn't mind Inception. I mean, I didn't like it. It just didn't. And with a cast like that, I really wanted to like it. It's a heist movie with a wonderful cast. I should like it in theory, but it just didn't connect with me, you know? Yeah, and I agree. It's just a little bit boring. Everybody did a great job. I mean, when you have Tom Hardy, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Leo, Paige, I mean, the cast is great. And Christopher Nolan can get a good cast together. That's never the problem. But it's weird because even movies like Oppenheimer, which some people maybe describe as boring, but I mean, look at the amount of money it made. It's the best picture. That movie is a beloved movie as well. So boring maybe isn't even the problem. I don't know what the problem is for me in Inception, but there's just something about it, you know? But I'm going to move on to something I am excited about, which is Robert Eggers' new film coming out around the holidays, Nosferatu, a new adaptation written for the screen by Robert Eggers. Dude, I cannot wait to see this movie. Here's my thing. I love a good vampire movie. I'm going to talk a little bit about Salem's Lot, the new one. Don't worry. Because if you guys remember, I put that very high on my list of highly anticipated movies. And for those of you that care, you probably want to know how I feel now that I've seen it. But Nosferatu is one of those ones where it's not necessarily that I love the IP. It's that I love a good vampire movie. And I love a vampire movie that has its roots in kind of classic vampire shit, you know? And Nosferatu is a great example of such a thing. In fact, it almost the example, you know? And Robert Eggers is such a perfect person to direct this movie. I mean, like, truthfully, the guy should stay doing period pieces, in my opinion. And he probably will. He doesn't seem, just based on his other works, he doesn't seem like he's interested in doing movies set anywhere in recent times. It looks like everything he's interested in doing is 100 years ago or more. And I think that's pretty rad. Because if you're good at it, you can make period pieces that are very strong. And that's a fun sandbox to play in because history has so many true stories or you know, classic fairy tales that you can kind of harken back to. So I know that this movie is going to be good. I have faith in not just the cast. I mean, Nicholas Hoult is in this movie, so at least that'll be good. Willem Dafoe is in this movie. But I think Robert Eggers is literally the perfect director for this movie. I can't think of a better director for this movie, as a matter of fact. And to kind of, you know, not to geek out or become a fanboy of Robert, or not to turn this into his, you know, a praise Robert Eggers session, but have you guys seen his other 3 movies? Because they're amazing. He made The Witch, which it took me a couple times with that movie to really appreciate it all the way. The first time I saw it, I thought it was like well made, but not juicy. The second time I got some of that juice, but then I was like, you know, it's juicy. It's maybe a little uneventful. By the third and fourth, and then, you know, since 5th time or whatever I've seen that movie, I really, really like The Witch. But then The Lighthouse comes out, even better, even more analog. The from the lens choice, the natural lighting of just candlelight and sunlight and nothing else. You know, those are things that make filmmaking a challenge. It makes it, you know, making a movie at all is already hard. And then doing it using only analog materials and kind of, you know, mechanically making your movie, it makes it even harder. And The Lighthouse is a perfect example of Robert Eggers' ability to adapt to that. And then The Northman, which was, I would say, probably the closest thing to a Robert Eggers blockbuster film, and probably his best film, right? So it's gonna be amazing, is what I'm saying. Nosferatu is gonna be good. I have faith in the movie. The trailer is mysterious and dark and cold, and there's just something about it that tells me this movie's gonna impress me. Now I want to take that as the perfect segue to talk about something else, and that's gonna be the new Salem's Lot movie. Let me go ahead and just pull up the poster so you guys can at least have something to look at for reference. Okay. So yeah, let's talk about it, guys. This one I had very high up on my on my list of highly anticipated films for the year. I was not only excited for the spooky season and the vampireness, I was just excited to get a version of Salem's Lot that felt like an update, because I'm not the biggest fan of the original Salem's Lot. Okay. But this is again, very similar to how I feel about Art the Clown. It's less about the movies and more about the potential and more about the, you know, I believe in the stories. And this movie disappointed almost everybody, it seems. I haven't seen a lot of good reviews. Haven't seen a lot of people praising it. Most people didn't like it. And I'm going to be honest, I did like it. I thought it was okay. I didn't love it. It was mid, but in a normal way. I was like halfway between impressed and not impressed, and that's fine with me. I was maybe a little bit more on the side of liking. I would say I liked the movie. It was fine. I didn't love it, but I definitely didn't dislike it. And I think that what I was looking for in this movie, I think my bar was pretty low. This was a movie, we have to remember this, you guys. This was a movie that was finished years ago, and nobody could figure out where to release it. You know, theatrically, streaming. Then it was announced that it was streaming forever ago, and then they couldn't figure out a time to release it, so they just saved it till the Halloween season. So you guys have to know, if you went into this with high expectations like I did, the normal person would be disappointed. But for me, it wasn't even, I went in with not high expectations, I just went in with high hopes. But I didn't expect much because there isn't really an adaptation of Salem's Lot that's good. I didn't like the original one. And I saw a return to Salem's Lot. Didn't care for that. I never saw the miniseries with Rob Lowe following John Glick. But all I'm saying is you got to go in here knowing that this movie was obviously not great, or else they would have released it in theaters when it was finished like a year ago, you know? This movie was made so long ago that like you had to know it was not that good just by how long it took to come out. So when you expect, you know, when you hope for the best but expect the worst, you find yourself like me, as History Lover says here, having the worst opinion on the internet, which is that the movie was okay. And sometimes I need a movie to be okay. You know what I'm saying? Now, Powder Keg, I think History Lover is not talking about himself. I think he's talking about just in general. It seems like most people hate hearing that something was okay. I don't think he's telling me that. Oh, interesting. Mr. Bucket Man. By the way, sick name. Absolutely great name. The new Salem's Lot should have been 3 hours, missing parts, and didn't have time to linger in the creepiness. Not bad, not great. This sums up almost my exact feelings on the movie. Not terrible, not bad, not great. It was a good movie. It was an okay movie. We'll watch again at some point. Not over other things though, you know, because not everything has to be so black and white about so good or bad. But I also think this isn't to lead with saying it should have been 3 hours long. I think that's where you might lose a few people, because if I was like, okay, I'll stream this movie, and then I look at it, I see it's 3 hours long, I'm probably not going to mind at all. I don't mind longer movies, but I prefer shorter movies if the story, you know, can exist in that time. It's all case by case. But it's interesting to hear somebody say that it should have been longer, because for the people that have, you know, seen the movie and reviewed it as boring, it seems like they feel the opposite. I would have loved to get a little more slow burn out of the movie. I definitely would have enjoyed that. But it's just interesting because I didn't expect to hear somebody say that. Now this comment here, Pragmagic, also great name. You guys got some cool names, man. Why is there an apostrophe before Salem? Is that supposed to eradicate the possessiveness as a meta function? I'm obsessed. I'm not a history teacher, and I'm also not real smart, so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why there's an apostrophe before the word Salem. That's a great question, but one I don't have the answer for. I'm glad that you're obsessed with that, though, and I hope that what this means is that you'll crack the case, and when you do, let me pull it myself on the screen here, and when you do crack the case, Pragmagic, come back here on the live stream and let us know why that happened. We'll kind of follow it up. We'll make it episodic. That'll be fun. All right, guys, we have like one other topic or a couple other like little things, but just to kind of give you an idea, some of this stuff were just things that I found kind of interesting, like 17 horror movies that are coming out, and most of them are just streaming. But to be honest, I was gone all week, and most of you have already read that news and know what's coming out. So I won't bother you with it, but what I will do is give away some shit. So Let's do a giveaway. Everybody. We're going to be giving away a Joker figure, a really sick Joker figure, and this one is from the Arkham video game series. One of the coolest designs for the Joker, if you ask me. And if you want to win that figure, all you have to do is let me know who should play Batman in James Gunn's new DCU. I was going to do this as wrong answers only, but I think we'll stick to doing it this way. Now, we've gotten some casting opinions in the past, and we have talked Batman before, but I'm looking for outside the box answers, something fun, something kind of fresh. Okay. So, go ahead and throw your opinions in the comments. I'm going to pin some of them. We'll talk about them as we go, and then I'll pick my favorite one as the winner, and we'll talk about it. So, who should play Batman in James Gunn's new DCU? Oh, hey, real quick. History Lover and Pragmagic and Shadow of the Statue have let me know it's because it's Jerusalem's lot. So the apostrophe is to shorten Jerusalem. Feel like I should have known that. That's great to know. Well, Powder Keg, to answer your question, in James Gunn's DCU. So that version of Batman, you know, there's little information on what that's going to be. So, ooh, interesting here. Michael C. Hall. You know, I think Michael C. Hall, he did do the voice of Batman in an animated thing, and that was pretty cool. Michael C. Hall, I think, would make a good Batman. However, in fact, he is kind of like he's a little too old, I think, because we got to keep Batman still in the battle for years to come, right? But that is a great first answer here. Brian Stevens says Aaron Taylor Johnson. I don't know if I see it. I don't know if I could see him as Bruce Wayne or Batman. And I don't know why. Because I think he's a great actor. I think he's handsome and everything. So I don't know why I don't see it, but I just don't see it. But outside the box for sure. Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's a good outside the box answer. Michael Fassbender would be an interesting choice for Bruce Wayne or Batman. That would be a cool kind of way to that would be like the modern, like, I don't know, it'd almost be like casting like Michael Keaton in his prime again, you know, just kind of somebody that you initially would not expect that could easily click into an iconic version of Batman. I think Fassbender is a good answer. Grand Admiral Thrawn says Jason O'Mara. Give me a second because the name doesn't ring a bell. Jason O'Mara. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. He's in Criminal Minds. Oh, he was also in, I think he might have played Batman in Justice League War. Yeah, you know, he would be a good Batman. I like that answer. That's a good one. Jason O'Mara. I'm going to pin this one for right now because right now I think this one is leading the pack. I like that. Alistair Campbell says Jake Gyllenhaal. I think Jake Gyllenhaal can do anything. I really do. I think he can play any role. I wouldn't love him as Batman. Maybe I would love him. It wouldn't be my first choice, but I could easily be convinced that he'd be a good Batman. Ooh, Split Fries Media joining us straight out the movie theater. Hello, Split Fries Media. Thank you for being here. I'm also a Gaga fan. Big Gaga fan. I love her music. You feel bad for her because it's a shit film. I'm going to wait for it to come to HBO before I see it, for sure. Metal Horror Fanatic says Matthew Lillard as Batman. That's interesting. Whoa. Hold on, though. I don't want to ruin your name. I'm so sorry. Guerras, I think, maybe. It says David Desmalchian. That's an interesting one. That's Polka Dot Man from Suicide Squad or from Late Night with the Devil. I love David Desmalchian, and I kind of love this answer for him as Batman. You know what? This one's the winner. I'm going to go David Desmalchian as Batman. I think that's not only very outside of the box, but I also, for some reason, I could see it. And I don't know exactly why. That's kind of crazy. Let me pull up a picture for those of you that don't know who we're talking about. But I kind of am obsessed with that thought now. I'd love to see what that looks like. Maybe we'll Photoshop something. Any of you guys good at Photoshop? Photoshop David Dasmalchian as Batman and send it to me. And yeah. So yeah, for those of you that don't know, this, let me go back to my. This is David Dasmalchian from Late Night with the Devil. He was also in the Nolan Batman movies, you know. So you know what this is? I know exactly why I see it now. So by the way, let me pin your comment, Guieras. Email me. I'm gonna give you my email address right now. Email me and let me know what your shipping details are. Let me just pull up my email address. There we go. Email me, kiergomes@joblo.com. Your email might go to spam, so in order for me to make sure I get it, I've got a separate spam folder that's always refreshed right here. So I will get your email. Just make sure you email the right email address. Don't spell the name wrong. I know it's a weird name, but you got to spell it right, or else I'm not going to get that thing. You know what I'm saying? David Dasmalchian, here's why that makes sense to me. It's because Cillian Murphy once auditioned to play Christopher Nolan's version of Batman. And Cillian Murphy and David Dasmalchian kind of remind me of one another. So maybe that's why I could see it. This was a great answer. So Guieras, hopefully I'm saying your name right. I believe I am. Please email me and you can claim your Joker Arkham figurine, okay? Or action figure, whatever you want to call it. This thing is badass. I kind of want one. So, all right, guys. I think we're gonna end the stream there. I feel good about this. Hopefully you guys too. I have had such a long week, so much traveling, just dealing with some family stuff, and you know, have to kind of be liquid and on the move all the time. So one thing that helps me out is having this as kind of my hub. I know if no matter what happens, I know that every Friday, me and you guys are gonna be here doing this. So it's kind of been my North Star all week, and I want to thank all of you that jumped on the stream tonight. It seriously means so much, and I hope that you tune in again next week. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe. I have to say all that stuff. So anyway, have a great weekend. Go see Terrifier and let me know what you guys thought of it. And I'll see you next week as we get closer to Halloween. Let's outro out. Goodbye.